The Military Bases Agreement of 1947 gave the United States use of several military installations in the Philippines. During the next few decades, these bases played a key role in facilitating American military activity in Southeast Asia.
It's called Poro Point. It's basically a military installation. Back to my co-teacher, she used to teach for about an hour and a half in that facility. She taught Tagalog for any servicemen who are willing to learn the course so they can communicate with the locals. So, but eventually she moved. She got married and moved, so the position was vacant. So one day she came up to me and asked, would you be interested? So, well, anyway, it was after school and I didn't have anything to do. So I said, okay, let me try it out. So I gave it a try for about a couple of weeks, and I kind of liked it. So then I started teaching Tagalog, and that's where I met my ex-husband.
During the Vietnam War, many of the Philippine bases serviced troops, equipment, soldiers, and prisoners of war. The bases also had the unfortunate reputation of giving rise to large-scale prostitution and sexually transmitted diseases, as rest and recreation areas were set aside to service the needs of American servicemen. When it came time to renew the lease on these bases, Philippine politicians, flushed with victory from deposing Marcos and gaining worldwide fame, argued that the military bases were an affront to Philippine sovereignty and needed to go.
For them, I guess it's better for the country, because Filipinos need to be run by nationalists, not listening to Americans and things like that. And I remember there was a demonstration in front of the U.S. Embassy like almost every week. It was a rough time then. It's like nobody wanted the U.S. to be in the Philippines. But when it comes to calamities, they cannot. They say they can stand on their own and make decisions on their own, but, well, look at the typhoon 20 years later.
The decision to end the lease agreement was compounded by the explosion of Mount Pinatubo in June of 1991. The volcano exploded with a force 8 times greater than that of Mount St. Helens and blanketed Clark Air Base in ash. The cost of cleaning up the bases made Americans unwilling to budge on the amount they were going to pay for the lease. In a burst of nationalism, the Philippine Senate defeated the lease extension, and by November 24, 1992, the last American military base in the Philippines closed. This marked the first time since the 16th century that no foreign military force was on Philippine soil.
For the activists, yes, but for me, no, because they contributed a lot to the local economy. So I have a lot of friends who worked there inside the base. Them losing their jobs, and there were hundreds of them. So it also affected. It greatly affected the economy. So mostly in the I think service industry and hospitality industry, because they frequented restaurants and bars, things like that. And after they left, it's like done. I won't be surprised if most of these restaurants folded, or the bars.
Ironically, only 10 years passed before American soldiers were back. After September 11, American troops arrived for joint training exercises in the southern Philippines against the Abu Sayyaf and other Muslim terrorists in the Second Front on the War on Terror. In April of 2014, the United States and the Philippines signed a new deal that gives the United States access to multiple military bases in the Philippines for the next 10 years. Many reason that this decision was made because of Chinese aggression over the Spratly Islands and other islands in the South China Sea. Some see this as neocolonialism. All can agree that the presence of American military on Philippine soil is likely to be a contested topic for years to come.